Hey guys, Esther Kish here, and this is a tutorial to show you how to use Airtable to manage and inventory your fabric stash and your pattern stash, and how to make the two to talk to each other. And this is something that's gonna help you really see what you have and then also be able to search everything based on all the criteria that you put in yourself. So don't get overwhelmed. This first video is an overview of the system, and then in the following videos I'll show you step by step exactly how to set it up. And I've also created a template for you that you can download from Airtable. I'll give you the link and all the instructions. So you can use that template. That will be very similar to mine. I will have expanded it a little bit so that you have more options than what I use for my personal use. For example, for pattern companies, I typically use Verda, but I've included other companies for you guys so that you can just use those options right there. But I highly recommend that you watch the videos on how to build a table from scratch for yourself, because that way you will be able to use those skills to customize the template if you choose to use the template. Now this video is a response to my post in the projectors for sewing group. A lot of you guys have asked about how to do this, so I wanted to show you. You're welcome to ask questions in the comments here, or you can also ask me, tag me in the Facebook group and ask questions there. So what's going to happen? Look, this is basically what my fabric collection looks like in Airtable, and it corresponds to the physical collection as well. So I'm using the exact same numbers. These are basically just the SKU numbers that the websites give to each product when you buy them. So wherever I bought it from, like this one I think is from Mood, this is the SKU number that Mood has used. And so that's what I write down on the bolt that I wrap my fabric around at home, the physical fabric. And then also if it's too big to fold on a bolt, then I just put it on I just fold it up and use a tagging gun, and on the tag I put the exact same number. So it's very easy because it's all consistent both through the digital and the physical world. And then on the pattern side, it looks something like this. So again, really easy because I just use the number of the pattern, or in this case, because these are from Burda magazine, I just use the number of the pattern from that particular issue. And then this would be, for example, June 2011. So that's the issue that this one came from. And the reason it's sliding around, I'm just hovering my mouse around it. And so that already shows me the preview of all the other images that I have uploaded for this one, but I'm jumping ahead of myself. So don't worry, I'll show you exactly everything step by step how to set up. The other thing that you can use this kind of system for is if you have a serious stash of bag accessories or notions or tools. I even have one for my shoes. So it's like a lot of different things that you can use it for. Airtable has multiple tiers. There's a free plan, which is the one that I'm using, and you guys can use the free plan as well. And then there are other paid options that have just more automations and more tools that I actually don't use. And then also it gives you more storage options. So with a lot of images like how I have here, I have close to 800 patterns here, and also like over 200 fabrics. It takes a lot of space. So I will show you some tips and tricks on how to compress the images so that you can use as little space as possible, but still have high quality images. And that way you can stay on the free plan of Airtable and you don't need to upgrade to the paid plan. Now, Airtable works on all devices. It's browser based, so you can use it on your computer, you can use it on your phone. I think you can also use it on your iPad or any other tablet. Works on PC, works on Macs, works on Android, works on iOS. It doesn't matter what you have. The only thing that I would highly recommend is when you're setting yourself up with this, when you're creating your own system and when you're inputting your data, I would definitely recommend that you use the computer over the phone, because it's just very tedious to do it over the phone. It's a tiny little screen, and you have to tap around a lot, whereas on the computer, of course, you can type much faster. So basically, once you sign up with Airtable for a free account, it's going to give you a few options that we need to look over. And they call a database, they just call it base. It's like right here, you see bases. So I have, these are all separate bases. The purple one is my sewing and fashion design base. Then I have one for my wardrobe. I have one for the border collection of patterns. I have one for inspiration. And then you can just click and add the base. So if you're brand new to Airtable, you would just click on this plus sign here and create a base, okay? Now, if you've never used Airtable before, don't worry, I'm going to show you everything click by click. But if you've ever used anything like a spreadsheet management software like Excel or Google Spreadsheets or Numbers, or even any project management software like Access or Trello or anything like that, this will feel very familiar. It just looks different, but the functionality is kind of it's a combination of a database, a spreadsheet, and a project management tool. It's really, really powerful, and it's very modern looking and very easy to use. So why do we want to use something like this? Well, first of all, because this way you can search your fabric stash. You can see everything that you have at a glance. As you can see, some of them here for me are like little selfies because I've already used these fabrics. And so I just put here the image of what I've made, because then that way it's a much better visceral memory for me. I know exactly what that fabric is because I've worn this piece or this one or this one. The other ones that I haven't used yet, I just use the images from the website. And if it was a fabric that I bought in a physical store, not online, I just take a picture of it myself and upload that. So what kind of data do we have here? So first of all, if I click on one of them, you see here the SKU number. So again, this is just whatever the online store gave them. You can also put in your own name, like you could put Art Deco Silk or whatever, right? Like whatever makes you remember what this is. This is completely your own custom name for it. I just use the SKU number because that's just the easiest. I put here the composition and type. So in this case, this is a silk and also a silk georgette. And then I've put there the link where I can buy this fabric. The colors that are present with this fabric. So this is a blue and white. So I put blue, light blue, white, multi. You don't have to go too detailed, but the more detail you put in there, the more options you will have for search. Then I put next the type of fabric. So this is a woven. It's sheer. It has an Art Deco print and it's a geometric print. So those are words that I would think of when I want to find this fabric, right? So if instead of visually searching, like literally scrolling here through hundreds of fabrics, I can just type in a blue silk Art Deco print and this will come up. So let me show you. So I'm just going to go here to filter right here at the top and add condition. And the condition is going to be composition and type, and it's going to be a silk, right? So I'm going to make that one silk. And you see how the picture behind me changed? It shows all the silks. And then in addition to having it be a silk, I also want, say, the color to be blue, right? So I'm just going to pull up blue. It shows now all the blue silks. And then I also want the color, actually not the color, sorry, the type, to say Art Deco. I'm just starting to type here, and then it comes up all with the options that I've previously set up. And so it shows me the Art Deco type of blue silks that I have. Okay. Now, if I want to go back to see all of the different fabrics that I have, all I have to do is just click on this filter option here and delete the ones that I don't want to filter for. So if I just want to remove the Art Deco part of it, suddenly I have all the blue silks, right? If I delete the silk part of it, it will have all the blue fabrics. So it will show you everything that you could possibly want. Let's say if I want to find a blue fabric and it needs to have a quantity of at least 2 yards or 2 meters, because I measure in meters, but it doesn't matter. You can do it in yards as well. So it can be just like how we had it in grade school, right? In the equals or the less than, more than, equals or less, equals or more. So I want it to be at least 2 meters. So now suddenly we have here all the blues that I have at least 2 meters in quantity. Okay. Another really cool thing that I found, like if I want to find something that I've already made, this is what I can do. I'll delete this part here, the search part, and I add a condition. So let's say, what kind of blue stuff have I made? And I will say, I'll search here for this option made. That's my thing. And then the option is yes. Now here I've put 3 options: yes, no, or yes, but have more. So what this means is yes is if I've made something from that fabric and it's used up. Maybe I have little bits of scraps, but nothing enough for a new project. No would be the default for when I buy new fabrics, because obviously I haven't used them yet. So generally when I input the data, it will be no for the initial input. And then once I use it, then I'll switch it over to either yes or yes, but have more, which what that is I have this fabric, I've used it for a project, but I have more of it, so I can make something else with it still. And then if I want to still do the quantity on top of that, I can still narrow it down. Let's say quantity in meters, and it needs to be, say, at least a 0.5 meter, right? Okay, so I don't have actually anything that would be blue, and I've made it and it has 0.5 meter or more, but that's okay. So if I just wanted to show you something that is blue and I have at least a 0.5 meter of, that I haven't made anything from yet, apparently, those are these, or I've made them, but there's just that much left. You can use this function also for finding at least, so for whatever you need for bigger projects, or you could use it the other way around, this way, that less than a 0.5 meter, and that would show you where you have little scraps left. And so that could be where you want to use it for a kid's project, or maybe you want to use something as a contrast for lining, something like for a pocket lining, whatever it is, that a small piece that you would need. You can find your remnants very easily here. Now, if I go over to the patterns side, which is right here in the next tab. So remember how I showed you here that we are inside the different bases. This is a sewing and fashion design base. And for you, when you are getting started, you would just have one base, right? And inside that base, we have multiple tables. So for me, this one that's highlighted here in white is the fabrics table. And then next to it, I have my patterns, right? But for right now, let's go back to fabrics. And I've opened the patterns in a separate window here in the browser, a separate tab rather, just so that it's easier for us to navigate and to show you how this all works. So these are all patterns that I have. And the information is very similar in terms of searchability. Now, I haven't input all the information for all of my patterns yet, but I have about 100 that already has the info on it. So this will give us a good idea to show you some examples of the search here as well. So the same thing, I can go to filter, and let's say I want to go for a garment type that's a skirt. So it shows all the skirts, okay? And then let's say I also want it to be an A-line skirt. So silhouette, A-line. Ta-da, here are all the A-line skirts. Okay, so it makes it very easy to narrow down what you have. And this is for both this one and for the fabric one, the way we've been looking at it so far is what we call the gallery view, where you can see it kind of with this preview of the image, and then if you click on it, then you can see all the information about it. But you can, when you're putting in your data, what I would recommend is that you use the spreadsheet view, because that will make it just a whole lot easier. So let me go back to the fabric one. And to get back to seeing everything, all I would need to do is just to delete the filters that I was filtering by. Okay. And so now what I'm going to do is go here in the top left corner where it says views. And you see it pulled up this little column here. So the default one, when you're starting a brand new table inside Airtable, the default one will look like this. It's called the grid view. Basically looks like a spreadsheet, right? And so this is where you put all of your data in. You can put it in through the gallery view as well, but I just found it easier to do it like this because you can just type faster and it's much easier to use. And then for searching, for comparing things, you can use the gallery view, and that will that's just more fun and more visual to do it this way for after you've put in your data. Now, if you want to do additional things, here in the bottom left corner, you see it has a calendar view, a Kanban view, which is very similar to what you would see in Trello. You can create forms, all kinds of different things that are related to project management. So if you're testing patterns for a pattern company, or you want to track along a project, let's say if you're, sewing a bunch of things at the same time, you could use one of these, like for example, the Kanban view. I don't use these, but that's something that you can explore on your own time. Go to filter, and then composition and not composition and type, sorry, just a type. Where is it? After the color, type. And then it has the option has any of, has all of, is exactly, has none of, it's empty, it's not empty. Like it has just all the different options of how you can filter for that particular field. And then here are all our options within the type field. So let's say I want to find all the polka dots. There they are. Okay. And now I can easily pick out what I wanted, right? But I could also look for, let's say, a floral. So I'm going to undo the polka dot and just slide the green to gray back. Now it shows everything that I have. And then I'll go to floral. And I can either scroll for it, or I can just start typing the word floral here, and it will come up with it. And now it shows all the florals. And if I had, let's say, a lot, this is not that many, right? But if I had a lot of florals, then I could have also narrowed down the search by the color, for example, or the composition of the fabric, or the quantity of the fabric. If I go to the gallery view and I start filtering, so meaning searching through favorite is checked, now I can see all my little favorites. And so these could be, for you, it could be something that you're planning to make in the next couple of months. It could be that are patterns that you keep coming back to, whatever favorite means for you. So let's see, we search for Use It Up. And then by default, it's not checked. It's a checkbox type of field. It's not checked. So everything that I have some yardage of still, it's basically everything pretty much in my collection, is going to show up. But if I completely used it up, it's going to come up like this. And why is this good? Because this will show me that, oh yeah, I made this fabric, I made this dress, and I really like this dress, but what was that fabric again? I would love to make some more. I don't have any more of it, but look at that. I can just go and click on my link and buy that fabric again. So this makes it really, really easy. If you're thinking that, yeah, I made that dress and in your actual wardrobe, or I made that little outfit, I would love to have more of that fabric. This way you can find it super, super quick. Another really cool thing that you can do is to link your records together. And I'm going to show you everything step by step in the how-to videos. But for right now, I just want to give you an idea of how the two systems talk to each other. So two systems meaning the two different tables. One you have set up for your fabrics, the other one you have set up for your patterns. And you may have more eventually separate for inspiration, for wish list, whatever you want. But for right now, let's just do two, right? This is the one that we went talking about so far, the fabrics table, and then I have a separate one for the patterns that I have. And because mine are mostly border patterns, that's just what I named it. But for you, it could include patterns from multiple companies, and I'll show you how to add multiple companies when we go to the setup in a couple of videos down from now. But I just want to show you as a preview how the two systems can interlink with each other. So for example, I'm looking at this blouse that I've made. I know that I have more fabric from this. How do I know? Well, first of all, because I recently made it, I remember, but it actually has this information here. You see, the question is like yes, no, or yes, but I have more. Yes, but I have more. That was what was highlighted here. So if I would have searched for it instead of manually scrolling this this stash here, I could have just searched for fabrics that I've made, but I have more of. And that would be this one. And so now I want to see, okay, but what was the pattern that I used for this one? I know it was a cool pattern with multiple views, with multiple options, but which one was it? Well, I opened this record, meaning I just clicked on the picture. I opened the record, and it has all the pictures that I've uploaded. I like to upload multiple views of, you know, what the garment looks like, also detail views. This was the original fabric image. Before I made anything with it, this was the cover image for this record here in the fabric database. But now that I've made something from it, I made a cover image my selfie there. But I just kept the original one as well. And, you know, like some detail shots, the projector stuff. And then if I scroll a little bit further down, check this out. I have my pattern linked to it. So this, if I were to click on this right now, it's going to open a whole new record from another table. So you see, like right here in the top right, here where it says fabrics, right next to it, it says border patterns. That's a different spreadsheet, a different table, right? And so that's where it's going to pull the record from. So if I click on it, it shows me that exact record. So this is from the website of the pattern company, the model that they used here, the e-commerce view of the same pattern, how they made it, the line art, and then the link if I want to go and buy this one, the actual pattern. I've uploaded here the instructions and the pattern itself. So I have all of this information here. And then check this out. We're scrolling further. We have more information, and all of this is searchable. So if I were to go the other way around and I'm searching for a sleeveless blouse, this would have come up because it has the input sleeveless and blouse, right? But this is where it gets really cool. It's linked to my fabrics. So this is the record of the pattern, and it shows all of the linked fabrics where I use this pattern. So I used the one that we started with, the one with the little hearts. I also used this pattern to make this blouse. And I also used the same pattern to make this other one. It's a blue one, but it has ruffles. It's the same pattern. It's just like a different version of it, but it's the same pattern. So same pattern instructions. It's all linked together. So no matter which way I think of it, like if I kind of remember that, yeah, I made that blue blouse a while ago. Which one was that? Which pattern did I use for it? What I can do is I can go to my filter in my fabric stash. Okay, add condition, and the condition is going to be made. That's a question. The option is going to be yes. And here's the blue blouse that I've made. But let's say if I made 100 different pieces, I would have to scroll. Well, no, I don't have to scroll because I can actually add other conditions. So let's say I made it and it's a blue thing. So let me just search for blue here. There we go. And so it shows all the stuff that I made that's blue. And oops, it seemed like that one was actually not marked as blue, so that's not good. Maybe it was marked as navy. Let me see. So this is why you want to have as much information on your input as possible so that it will work better for you. So you see, I've only marked this particular fabric as navy, not as blue. And I'm going to fix that right now because that way, the more information you put in, the better your search will always work. So navy and dark blue, but I should have also put in blue. There we go. So this gives you a good idea, though, of how you can use this. And let's say I remember this blue shirt or this blue blouse, and I want to look up what pattern I used for it. So I use the search criteria to find it. And now I can just scroll down, and it pulls up my pattern. And there it is. And I can literally just go ahead and look at it and see, you know, like what kind of fabric it requires, what yardage information, how complicated it is, all of that stuff is right there. So these are just a few examples of what you can use this for. The more information you put in, the more options you will have for search criteria. And so in the next video, I'm going to show you how to set up your fabric stash. And then in the following video, I'm going to show you how to do the same thing for your patterns. And the video after that is going to be how to set up your own, if you want to use the template that I provided, and how to customize that. So if you're completely starting from scratch from Airtable, I highly recommend that you go in this order, because it will give you ideas of all the things that you can use the system for. And even though you might be using my template exactly as it is, if you want to make any changes, or you have additional needs, or some of the information is just too much and you don't want it, you will know what you're getting rid of, because you don't want to just delete stuff, and then actually it would have been really helpful for your search function, right? So I highly recommend that you go in the order of videos that I put in the post, in the Facebook post, and then that way you will see exactly the way my setup is, and you can take pieces of it. You can take it as it is, the whole thing, or you can take pieces of it, or you can make modifications. But that way you will go into it with your eyes open, and it will be very easy. And if you have any questions, of course, you're very welcome to ask me. I'm always happy to help.